Let's explore how counting meditation could feed our drowsiness. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. The question begins, should I be concerned? I've started meditating. Oopsie. Let's try that again. Un, deux, trois. Page layout. Okay. I've started meditating, and I'm doing more than 10 minutes where I count my breaths on the exhale up to 5, then start over. I've also found that I'm getting super drowsy. I find myself almost nodding off and then suddenly catching myself. This can be pretty disorienting. The drowsiness can last a long time afterwards as well. Should I be concerned? This is an excellent question from an intelligent and good-hearted person, and I thank you very much. So let's begin with broad brushstrokes. There is much... So, the ancient Greek philosophers found that if you have two people from the same gender, speaking the same language, living in the same town, the odds of them misunderstanding each other are huge unless they first agree on terminology. Imagine how more difficult it is when we're dealing with people of different genders, speaking different dialects of different languages, separated not only by miles, but by millennia. Such is the confusion we find in the world of Buddhism. I don't know about you, but I found that confusion, I'm able to cut through that confusion by exploring meditation through the lens of neuroscience. And I have to be honest, full disclosure, I am not a psychiatrist, I am not a neurologist, I'm not a neuroscience. I'm some guy with a shit ton of disabilities. Most of them are neurological, and that have either caused physiological challenges or been exacerbated by physiological challenges. And in a world of what's it called? What are the 3 HMOs and medical gaslighting? I've had to study, or at least become acquainted with neuroscience almost as a form of self-defense. And the only way I've been able to survive, no less thrive, as a very disabled meditator for multiple decades is by implementing what I'm about to share with you. I hope you find it helpful. So I got to start with brass tacks. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. That would probably explain why there are more lousy meditation teachers than great ones. It would also explain why the majority of humans, including meditation teachers, act and often believe that being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel is optimal. There is a minority, though, who will always be drawn to being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, though others try to dissuade them. So it's these others, this majority, who are really often confuse mindfulness with concentration. Now, that could sound initially like what the Italians would describe as picayune. But I assure you it's not. But please don't take my word for it. Let's see what the science has to say. Science that has been informed by imaging technologies such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, known by its abbreviation fMRI. So, counting meditation, regardless of its name, is an exercise in concentration. If we are going to practice, please excuse my slurring. I'm recovering from over an exertion this week, and that makes me slur like I've had one too many martinis. I assure you, that is not the case. If we are to concentrate, and I assure you breath counting is a form of concentration, the only way we are able to concentrate is by utilizing very specific neurological structures, such as the medial prefrontal cortex. Now, it's not my job to poop all over the prefrontal cortex. It is a wonderful tool. If you want to contrast, compare, organize, if you want to compute, calculate, edit, analyze, this is a fabulous part of the brain. Ask any good personal trainer, ask any good athletic coach, and they will tell you that regardless of how strong something is, it's subject to overtraining. In the short term, overtraining can create the, what's the fancy word the business guys use? A poor return. The law of diminishing returns. Thank you. That's it. So neurologically, what do we get if we overuse our prefrontal cortex? Well, it triggers our amygdala, this lumpy thing down here that kind of lives metaphorically in the dungeon of our limbic system. This little guy is responsible for our aggression and our anxiety, which are useful survival tools. But when our survival tools stop being tools and become tyrants, they wreak havoc in our lives. That is exactly what can happen. Now, I don't know about you, you're probably much smarter than me. But, after being indoctrinated into bro science in junior high and high school, I developed the terrible habit of ignoring red flags and just pushing through, no pain, no gain. Sadly, doing that thing athletically can create injury or disability. I'm still waiting for my tendons to get better and my bicep tendons to heal, and it's been more than 30 years. How can that affect us neurologically? Exhausting our prefrontal cortex can cause us to present, or could cause us to present, with symptoms of depression. Now, I'm going to be honest. Most people with bad haircuts and unusual clothes who call themselves Rinpoche or Kenpo or Geshe or Lama or Roshi or Sensei or Shifu or Bante or Ajahn, just because they have those titles doesn't mean they are omniscient. When you feel drowsy, it's not because you have a weak character. It's not because you're posing. It's not because it's not important to you. It's because there are many contributing factors that are causing your body to manifest various levels of neurological exhaustion. This is such an efficient method of generating exhaustion that I, who have ADHD amongst other things, when it's time to go to bed, will first get the bed all ready, then sit on the couch, read out of my left eye, really get my brain fatigued, shuffle off the bed, lay down on the bed on my right side, and then alternate between contemplation and a form of breath counting, specifically because it's ideal to exhaust your brain. So if you've been taught a method of meditating that is designed to make you fall asleep. So, in the words of Bugs Bunny, one of your teacher's teachers took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. So, So, I've got some good news for you. Just as there's a part of your brain that has nothing to do with mindfulness and will make you drowsy, there's another part of your brain that is evolved specifically for mindfulness. And it's one of the two facets of our autonomic nervous system. So it's not in the brain, it's in the central nervous system. Allow me to explain. The Buddha taught an eightfold path. The seventh fold of this eightfold path is mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, it's like the xenomorph's going to burst out of my chest and regale you with show tunes. So, every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we automatically, effortlessly, and often unconsciously access our sympathetic nervous system. Where is it located? In the middle third of our spinal cord. What does it evolve to do? Well, it's evolved to be pretty much the opposite of rigidity and controlling. It's evolved to help us be flexible and laid back. But wait, there's more. It evolved to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Yes, I must update this graphic. Groan. So, okay, so it has evolved to help us perceive sight, sound, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. It has also evolved to help us perceive emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We're not digital computers, we are analog, and as such we are able to perceive entire spectrums of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. And if you suspect this could sometimes be overwhelming, ding, 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 you are exactly correct. Fortunately, evolution has given us a countermeasure. The Buddha referred to this as the eighth fold to the eightfold path meditation. For you see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system. This is ensconced within the lower third and the upper third of the same spinal cord that we were talking about previously. So what has this parasympathetic nervous system evolved to do? It has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release, which is useful because this boy can be gently stimulating. It's good that this is gently sedating. It also explains why in some of the Bruce Lee movies you saw him doing a sharp inhalation before engaging in a duel. Or is a duel the right word? Anyway, now in my head I hear the song Mortal Kombat playing. Welcome to ADHD. It is glorious, is it not? So now, if there were no copyright issues and I had a staff of helpers, which I do not, someone would cue that song right now. But alas, it is not to be today. So, now, here's a question you might be asking. You might say, hey, Lama Jigme, you ridiculously dressed fellow. If I already have a sympathetic nervous system, and if I already have a parasympathetic nervous system, why aren't I already a Buddha? Why do I have to sit cross-legged on the floor? Huh? Tell me. Gladly. In a word, Urkel. Did I do that? Yes, Circle, you did. Due to a quirk of evolution, our brain is so chock full of mechanisms all vying for glucose and endocrines and neurotransmitters and electrical activity. It's kind of like this hodgepodge is kind of like a Borg circus, to quote Lieutenant Therese of Voyager, Star Trek Voyager. But I've got some good news for you. Every time we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, all of a sudden, the brain begins to cooperate spontaneously with the sympathetic nervous system. Similarly, every time we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, this exact same Borg circus of a brain begins to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system. We don't have to force it. Simply by playing with these words silently, mentally, and passively, it just makes it easier for our brain to cooperate with pre-existing circuitry. Think of it this way. Like a good recording engineer in the studio, they can isolate one sound and bring it into the foreground and push everything back into the background. Likewise, the simple correlation of the demonstrative pronoun this with our inhalation brings the information of our sympathetic nervous system into the foreground of our brain. And a similar thing happens when we recite silently, mentally, and passively recite ease during our exhalation with our parasympathetic nervous system. It's like as a child when you added graphite to... in the days before sealed bearings, when we would have to add graphite to our skateboards to make the ball bearings work better. Or when we added oil to a bicycle chain. It didn't create the bicycle chain, but it made it work better. Same thing going on here. So what can we conclude from this? In the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, your drowsiness, it's not a tumor. That was from Kindergarten Cop, and quite horrible, if I might say so myself. So, it doesn't mean you're morally bankrupt. It doesn't mean you're going to die. It doesn't mean there's a xenomorph in your brain waiting to burst out from through your forehead. We're saving that for later. It just means you were taught a method that is not ideal. It was probably not maliciously. It's probably just done by someone who's kind of lazy-minded. I look forward to practicing with you together as a team after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So I think it would be great fun if this morning as a team we played with Dojum Lingpas Easy Tantra, also known as Tesar Ngondra, translated from the Tibetan into English under the supervision of the late Chagdud Tulku, adapted and amplified by the Smook here. So just as the pendulum of a grandfather clock swings from side to side, we are going to alternate between chanting and meditation. It's best to view these meditations through the lens of figurative language, sometimes hyperbole, sometimes sometimes simile, sometimes metaphor. We're going to begin with an edit because sometimes that's how I roll. Okay. We're going to begin with Tikle's Bliss and Letting Go. Let's try that again. Tikle or Bliss and Letting Goes. That's it. I should put brackets there. Calling the Lama from afar, also known as Lama Kieno. So this energy work is sometimes considered a very bizarre, mysterious thing, but it's really, really not. And as we go through this text, the three pillars of Dzogchen, bliss and letting go, awareness and letting go, and love and letting go are going to pop up intermittently. And they're known by the fancy Tibetan names of Tikle, Trekcho, and Tokal, but they're all located in this. This is one-stop shopping. Please chant with me. Al-Majra Lama, please come to... Al-Majra Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible, constant protector who knows all Dharma things. Al-Majra Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible, constant protector who knows all Dharma things. Al-Majra Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible, constant protector who knows all Dharma things. I could be like the Lama, the archetype of right view. For I too could master awareness and letting go. I could be like the Lama, the archetype of right view. For I too could master awareness and letting go. I could be like the Lama, the archetype of right view, for I too could master awareness and letting go. Aha. The vulnerability of noticing other stress sows the seeds of our empathy, compassion, and love. The three realms we experience are samsara cycle, or like an ocean of suffering. The three realms we experience are samsara cycle, or like an ocean of suffering. The three realms we experience are samsara cycle, or like an ocean of suffering. So, quick heads up, a lot of teachers teach this from the worldview of being rigid, fearful, and controlling. Some people really, really want that. And if that's what you want, you might want to find a different teacher. I teach from the worldview of being flexible, loving, and laid back. If you find that repugnant, then I'm not the teacher for you. If you find that desirous, well, then you're welcome to hang out. Centered spontaneity is key to making the most of our precious meditation opportunities. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. Ever changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. For change makes of clinging an absurdity. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. One moment. For the sake of continuity, I think it's helpful if I change images. Please bear with me. Let's see. I'm looking for an image of Haruka and Vajra Yogini sporting in tantric union. Let's see. Vajra Yogini Yum. Okay, that's a good one there. But let's see if it's, yeah, it's too much of a close-up. That's a better one. Okay, let's go with this one. I'm going to save it. Whoopsie. Save it as pictures, Buddha, Vajra Yogini, Yabium. Bear with me, if you please. This will take another couple minutes because sometimes life is messy. Open. Sometimes you don't get what you want when you want it for as long as you want it. You gotta shuck and jive. So I'm going to save this as file, save as JPEG, and I'm going to call it Vajra Yogini Karma Mudra. Okay. And Cowabunga. So I'm going to close this app and return to the previously scheduled program. Going to hit insert and pictures and Buddhist yoga and scroll down to Vajra Yogini, scroll down to Yab Yum and double click. Now because of the enormity of this image, I'm going to adjust its size. Oh, it's too big. Every man hears with both delight and dismay. Okay. Now the reason I'm using this image here is to prepare us for the denuded version here. And so in Buddhist art, when we sometimes see skeletons or skulls prancing about the countryside, it is not, well, ideally it's designed to simply remind us of impermanence and the inevitability of change. The privilege of interdependence is that it allows our love to lighten others' loads. The results of our beneficial and harmful actions are inevitable. The results of our beneficial and harmful actions are inevitable. The results of our beneficial and harmful actions are inevitable. The key to liberating all others is to master the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Remembering this, may my mind turn toward Dharma. Remembering this, may my mind turn toward Dharma. Remembering this, may my mind turn toward Dharma. Loving kindness comprises 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May we therefore yearn to free all others from the tyranny of the three mental poisons of ever shoving, reaching, and clinging. From now until samsara is emptied, may I long to bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness. Try this again. From now until samsara is emptied, may I long to bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. From now until samsara is emptied, may I long to bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. Buddha's example instructions and students are known metaphorically as the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels. Thus from now until I reach a very heart of enlightenment, may I take refuge in the Lama who embodies the 3 jewels. Thus from now until I reach a very heart of enlightenment, may I take refuge in the Lama who embodies the 3 jewels. Thus from now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, may I take refuge in the Lama who embodies the 3 jewels. So we're going to take a break from the chanting recitation and perform now a conversational recitation. Un momento, por favor. Okay. From now until samsara is emptied, may bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. Thus, from now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, may I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings who have each been my kind, for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. Thus, from now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. Thus, from now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. Good morning, Jay. I'm happy to be here. To you I send a psychic hug. A life squandered in greed and competitiveness leads neither to peace nor fulfillment. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives to the three jewels. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives to the three jewels. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives to the three jewels. We now turn our attention to toe calls, leap over competitiveness, and clinging's obstructions to omniscience. But first, a bit of the old, some additional tikle, or bliss and letting go. Please chant with me. Dorje Sampa inseparable from my Lama is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations on Benza Sato. Oops. Dorje Sepa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations on Benza Sato. So, the next time you feel like you were in great turmoil, snapping your hand overhead before sitting in meditation could be a good strategy. Dorje Sampa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations on Benza Sato. Dissolving into light, diamond, mind, and Father, blend with... Take two. Dissolving into light, diamond, mind, Father, and Mother, blend with me an experience of oneness. Oops, let's try that bad boy again. Dissolving into light, I'm in mind, Father and Mother, blend with me in experience of oneness. Dissolving into light, I'm in mind, Father and Mother, blend with me in experience of oneness. I could be like the atom, the archetype of effortless effort, mindfulness, and meditate. Oopsie. I could be like the atom, the archetype of effortless effort, mindfulness, and meditation, for I too could master love and release. I could be like the atomic archetype of effortless effort, mindfulness, and meditation, for I too could master love and release. I could be like the atomic archetype of effortless effort, mindfulness, and meditation, for I too could master love and release. Due to the eccentricities of my schedule, I'm going to have to cut this morning's practice short. Let us close the practice with a universal wish that all beings everywhere be freed in the most wonderful way from the tyranny of sexism, racism, classism, exploitation, fascism, jingoism, and genocide. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void no be as safely fortunate as a pure land of law represented in Buddhist paintings. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void no be as peacefully enlightened as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a one-syllable vision. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void no be as joyfully loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void no be as beautifully healthy as a yidam archetype depicted in Buddhist statuary. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 6 or so hours, I would very much like to return and lead a day's afternoon group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.